morning, Alan. It's Howard Keating.
Good morning, Howard.
Very nice to be on our show.
It's a pleasure, really a pleasure.
Well, tell us, you're on the helping companies grow, the small businesses.
That's right.
Get opportunities and the trade finance. Are you actually lending money to these small businesses?
Absolutely. Our bank and my group, we have 19 people that are totally focused on utilizing the programs of the U.S. Export-Import Bank. One of the programs, of which have been the largest for the last 6 years in a row, is the Working Capital Guarantee Program. This is pre-export financing for companies who get orders from overseas and they need working capital to purchase the materials, hire the workers, and to fulfill their export orders. We have 4 people in Washington, D.C., right across the street from Exim Bank, who are totally focused on that, working with our small business lenders, our business credit lenders throughout nationally, as well as our corporate lending officers. But we have about $300 million outstanding in there, about 40-plus loans approved this past year, all allowing companies to retain jobs, grow their businesses, and export overseas. The other 15 people what we have are based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and what we are focused on is providing attractive financing to buyers overseas for their capital equipment purchases from the United States. Exim Bank has a wonderful program called the Medium Term Guarantee Program, of which we've also been the largest user for the last 6 years running. Our group will work with exporters to provide attractive financing to countries where financing is very difficult to come by. Interest rates are extremely high, and what we're able to do is arbitrage the typically low rates that we have access to here in this country to those buyers overseas, encouraging them to buy U.S. product, all with the support of the U.S. Export-Import Bank.
That's terrific. So when we talk about Exim Bank, they guarantee 85% of the loan.
That's correct.
Okay, so what percent do you loan of the 85%?
We lend 85% of the total contract value to the buyer, enabling
him to... That's 100% financing.
Pretty much. There's a 15% down payment requirement that Exim Bank requires that the buyer pays to the exporter. That shows they have some skin in the game and have the ability to repay the loan ultimately once that equipment is brought in and used in their normal course of business to generate cash for themselves.
And how strong do you see the market?
Well, we have been especially strong in our customers as well in Central and South America. And Brazil, in particular, the last couple of years has been our largest market for financing. After that would be Argentina, Mexico, Peru, Chile. We've been especially fortunate in Chile because it's a very strong economy.
Sure is.
The banking is very strong itself, but with the support of the U.S. government through Exim Bank, our loans can be priced more competitively, and therefore if the exporter, typically a small business that's producing a machine of some kind, a packaging machine or a plastic extrusion machine or a construction vehicle, he can go into his buyer or his distributor in that country and offer a very good financing package to encourage him to buy from him. So we partner with exporters like that too on that basis.
That's terrific, and it's a solid bank. You got a great reputation, worldwide known, and you've been a survivor through all these economic downturns. And in fact, you've done awfully well as a bank. One of the things that small business wants us to ask and they've been asking this all the time, is there a way that one of your non-clients can come in and get financing on a transactional basis?
On the medium-term financing, where we're providing, say, 5 or 7-year financing to a buyer in Brazil or in Oman or Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter really who the exporter is. It doesn't have to be a client of our bank. We're a little bit different than other institutions who use the Exim Bank programs in that regard. So we can work with a company well outside our normal brick-and-mortar branch footprint, let's say.
This is a big deal for all of us out there because a lot of these banks are mandating that they got to be a customer. And here is a bank that is willing to go ahead and help you on a transactional basis. And as a result, we got to give back to them. This has got to be our banker for everything we do. We're willing to give, and we got to give back as small businesses. That's the way life is. It really does work that way, doesn't it?
Sure.
But if you're willing to extend yourself and help these businesses get going, why shouldn't they? And they should be a life partner as you keep on going down the path. So that's terrific news for our small businesses out there. let's talk about how we can set things up and streamline things too, because is there an opportunity that we can do more volume?
There is. Of the 16 people that I work with in Pittsburgh, I'm the only one who does not speak Spanish and Portuguese. So it can give you an idea as to where most of our business is. However, we have been expanding to the Middle East, to Central Europe, for example, Russia. Certain parts of Asia, like India, is a very hot market right now, where we would encourage companies to consider in their sales process when they're talking to overseas buyers is to think of Ex-Im Bank financing as another sales tool. And you can work with a bank like us to proactively work with your buyers in their own language, oftentimes, to explain the program, how it can work, and how it best facilitate their investment in their equipment.
Absolutely. And on our show, we've mentioned many times, it is easier to go global than it is to do business in America in a lot of ways. And this is one of them right here. This kind of financing is available. And to think that our United States government is going to stand up behind this, and this fine firm willing to go ahead and finance it, is a great opportunity for all our small businesses. This has been wonderful. Also, what other areas do you excel in as far as with Ex-Im Bank?
Well, I guess we could say we have a true partnership with the U.S. Ex-Im Bank. Having 4 people here in Washington, D.C., where we are today, and Pittsburgh is only 4 hours and 15 minutes away. We have a very, almost say, intimate relationship. We are constantly coming down here to meet with our colleagues at Ex-Im Bank to understand how the programs work, how we can push the envelope in some cases when the overseas buyer, for example, may not quite meet all the criteria that Ex-Im Bank requires, or create a solution where Ex-Im Bank or ourselves may provide some risk mitigation using private credit insurance, or even the own bank's resources with an overseas bank correspondent relationship.
Well, as you know, there is approximately 49 million small businesses in America. There's 23 million that are registered and 26 million that aren't registered. And we're going to be talking to a lot of those people through this broadcast. This is a great opportunity to go global. And this makes a lot of sense, because once you got a buyer out there, you got the financing taken care of, but the financing, 85% of it's insured by the United States government, which is a tremendous opportunity. This puts you on an equal playing field with big business. So it is a great opportunity. When you think of the opportunities out there, and our president saying that he wants to double or triple or quadruple exports, this doesn't seem like a big number, and it seems like an easier process if there was a process set up with the lenders, that they could be more of an assembly line of opportunities. Do you agree with that?
Assembly line I guess we'd say consider ourselves a volume-driven shop. We like to do lots of transactions. Our normal size lending is probably in the range of $1 million to $5 million for these programs. Each case, though, is quite unique, and we have to pay particular attention to both the seller's needs and the buyer's needs. And I would say assembly line is a difficult description for that. No, I would have to say it's onesies and twosies. We always have, for example, working with a government agency as we do, which sometimes can be considered quite bureaucratic. I'd say Ex-Im Bank is one of the least bureaucratic of the U.S. government organizations. But it's still a challenge, and we typically have anywhere from 20 to 25 transactions at Ex-Im Bank at any one time. And if we didn't, we'd probably have difficulty paying our overhead, because each transaction may take anywhere from a month to 5 months to close, depending on the transparency and the quality of the financial information given to us by both buyer and seller, which we do have to analyze very thoroughly. So, I have to somewhat disagree, or not disagree might be a strong word, but assembly line might not be the right word for it. Each case is quite unique. How
can we be more efficient then? Is there a way to get it down that if we got a demand out there, we got a mandate, there's financing obviously there, we got the X I'm willing to do.
I think education is very important.
Okay.
Educating the manufacturers and U.S. exporters that they have this as a resource. This is very, very important. It's a constant process that I personally go through. I travel throughout the country, go to many different types of equipment trade shows. For example, last week was Con Expo in Las Vegas. It's a trade show for heavy equipment every 3 years. And I meet with many, many manufacturers saying you should be using these programs offered by the U.S. Exim Bank as a sales tool. And it takes a while. It's not always on the mind of a salesperson or a chief financial officer to even think about financing. They just want cash up front or letter of credit, and that can be very non-competitive with what the European competitors may be offering.
That's terrific. So here we got a fine bank that's willing to finance and help small businesses grow. Is there any area that, well, first of all, what areas do you like more to finance and which do you not like?
You mean regions of the world?
Product lines, manufacturing, franchises, or
we like all types of capital equipment. We have financed MRIs from GE Medical and radiology equipment from Varian out of Palo Alto. We financed plastic extrusion equipment from Davis Standard out of Connecticut, Mack Trucks out of Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Sure.
All types of capital equipment. That's what our preference to work with. That it makes sense to finance it over a 3 to 5 year period. Interestingly, medical equipment is available for financing up to 7 years, and environmental equipment can get as long as support as 18 years. And we've just recently become engaged in India, where solar power is quite the up-and-coming thing, and U.S. companies are actively selling solar panels to develop 5, 15 megawatt power plants for that area. Exim Bank support is critical to make the whole investment to be financially viable, and then we're very much involved with that. Find that to be very interesting. We see that as a very growth area for us and Exim Bank.
This has been terrific. We have a gentleman here as Vice President of PNC. His name is Alan Andrews. They're making a difference out there for our small businesses. We got to go. Here is the source. So go to info@keatingnetwork.com and we'll connect you up with PNC. And this is a fine group of people, but the key is that we got this Exim Bank. They will come up with those guarantees. It makes it easier for Alan and his group to go ahead and finance. And here is areas, his magic areas of where he wants to stick as far as financing. So let's comply to that and let's get behind PNC. And thank you very much, Alan. This has been terrific.
Thank you so much.
Okay, it's a pleasure.